week on the show, it's WvW2 We're going to share some of our intermediate techniques, including our group composition, fight setups, how to use map chat, how to scout, and when to grab that sweet, sweet supply. We also have what we call news, and Kora gets iTunes vindication. It's a backline buffet on Shadow of the Dragon. Welcome to Shadow of the Dragon. This is episode number 33, and the gang is all here. What's up, everyone?
What's up, dude?
Hey.
Yeah, the band's back together.
The band is back.
We missed you last week, Kora.
We're taking a trip out to Muscle Shoals.
I missed one episode, and suddenly it's like the band is breaking up.
Well, too much adulting.
Oh. So much adulting. It's been busy couple weeks for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed you haven't been in game too much.
Yes. I was actually telling Gallios while you were gone doing something a minute ago that I've actually just started a part-time job. Except it's sort of a weird part-time job. I've got my 9 to 5 normal paycheck job, and then I've got this part-time job that is paying me, but they're paying me in credits so that I can take classes and workshops, and it's like a work trade thing, but it's taking up a lot of my time in the evenings. So I work all day, and then I get home, and then I'm working, and then, eating dinner, and then it's time to go to bed so that I can get up and work again. So I have to take a look at my schedule and figure some things out, because I can't do this. I can't not have time to relax and play my favorite game or read a book or watch a TV show if all I'm doing is working. So so it's going to be a little bit of adjustment period, but I definitely am happy with it. It's social media stuff, which I enjoy doing, and I'm good at it. I feel like I'm getting free stuff because I am good at social media. So yeah.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I'm having fun.
Good. All right, so that covers what Kora's been up to.
Yeah. Working.
So, Gallios, what have you been up to?
Just been doing a little bit of gaming, not as much as I would like. Just popping into the news story the last couple of days. I've only had a chance to do a couple of hours, tops, I would guess. Before that, a bit of World v. World. Learned that I was an ass-jamming pelican and wished I could have reached the screen and punched somebody, but, you can only do so much.
Yeah,
I was about to ask,
we'll cover that later.
Is this a thing? Is this an actual thing? No, somebody was just being mean?
We'll cover it in a little while.
Oh.
But anyway, did a little bit of World v. World, played in the PvE world for a bit. I'm trying to, broaden my horizons a bit. And had a great meal tonight. Went out and took the wife to an early Valentine since I'll be out of town. So I won't be in game. Tried to get a little bit of gaming in. I'm going to hopefully do some gaming tomorrow because she's got a full day. So I'll be around the house. I might do some gaming tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't had a whole lot to hoopla about in game other than the night that we were called Ass Jamming Pelicans we were doing really good that night. Wow. Actually had a good group going. So that was that got me lit a little bit.
Yeah, Gallios got a little angry.
Yeah, I don't get angry. I got a little angry. Anyways, that's about it for me, man. What about you?
Well, same boat. I haven't really been doing as much as I wanted to. I got through most of the new Living Story content, and
jealous.
Yeah, I mean, the best part of it I can't get to because it is
spoilers.
Well, it's gated. The last part is gated, and we'll talk about that in the next show when we're doing our little thing, our review of that. So I mean, that's really all I've done. I did WW on Wednesday, and I just haven't really had too much time to play lately. So, I don't know, but I mean, we'll see in news. I have quite a bit of salt to throw tonight.
Oh my, we're so surprised.
You know, I don't know. People say I'm salty or whatever, and I really, really, really try hard not to be. But I mean, sigh, they sigh.
Well, somebody's got to be salty.
Yeah, I guess. So I mean, that's that. I got 14 inches of snow Thursday.
Oof.
Yeah, last night we got 14 inches. We're getting 5 more this Sunday. So
We had a couple inches on Monday in my area, which is unusual.
Supposedly it blew out ANET servers or something. There was a power shortage and delayed the patch and whatnot, which I'm sure is true. They're good about getting their stuff out. So
they were coded. I mean, the whole of the Pacific Northwest essentially got snow. And the city I'm in, normally where we're placed, like the jet streams and the wind and like the snow just always misses us, which I'm kind of sad about because I like snow. So it'll snow in Seattle, but not in my town and not where ArenaNet is often. But we actually got enough snow that my work, everybody was like, just work from home. You're not getting in, or we're not getting out of our houses where we are. The fact that anybody made it to ArenaNet, I'm very proud of them because our part of Washington shuts down with any snow. Like an inch, half an inch, we're like, oh no, we can't drive in that. So, yeah.
It doesn't even have to snow in Louisiana for us to miss work. It's just got to get super cold and the road's got to get a little icy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they don't let us drive. But I could have been in shorts today. There's 80-something degrees here.
Oh, you suck.
Ooh, that's a heat wave.
It was 16 here.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was fun.
I think we made it into the 40s today.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, that was a boring intro.
We've all been apparently adulting for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of stuff going on. I haven't had much time for much, so whatever. I got to play Living Story. Had a blast with Romo and Sylvia in WW 2 weeks ago. Did a couple achievements here and there, but like I said, we'll keep the spoiler warning in effect for this show, and we'll steer very clear of the new content. Yeah.
Oh, here, I can make the intro a little more exciting, sort of, and like public health awareness. Sure, why not, right? Okay. So I had a doctor's appointment last week that I was a little nervous about because I was talking with a genetic counselor to see if I needed to go in for early cancer screenings, because I had an aunt who had ovarian and colon cancer, and my grandfather, same side, also had colon cancer, and my aunt actually died from cancer. So I was like, I really don't want to die from cancer. So I'm going to go talk to a genetic counselor and see if I'm at higher risk. And luckily I am not. She talked about the family history and she mapped it, and she said, because your grandma never had cancer and your mom's in her 70s and she's never had cancer, if we follow that line down to you, you're probably fine. So we're not like, yay. So everybody, if you have any sort of history of cancer in your family, it doesn't hurt to go in and talk to the genetic counselor and just see if you should take early precautions.
Boom.
Yay, public health.
This public service announcement has been brought to you by Kora at Guild Wars.
So that was the most exciting thing that happened in my life in the past few weeks. So hopefully it helps somebody out there.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right. Well, long and exciting intro, but we have plenty of news to cover, and we're not even going to touch the AMA that came out with the patch until next show. We'll just do a quick review, because by the time everybody gets done, I don't know if Relics is going to do a show this week now that there's new content, but I know Hosts of Ascalon just did their show, and I'm sure Kit and the Travelers did theirs, so listen to them. We'll just talk about the stuff we liked and didn't like about the AMA, and we'll get into some stuff in news, but that's gonna do it for now. So anybody want to add anything else?
I think I'm clear.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Exciting
if it'll-
intro.
Yeah, something might pop in, later, but as of right now, I think I'm good.
Yes. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back. So, like I said, we have a ton of news. So first and foremost, Head of the Snake did drop on Tuesday. We are going to touch on some of the newsworthy stuff that came as a result of Head of the Snake. We are not going to be talking about the story whatsoever. So,
This is gonna be hard.
yeah.
Well, I guess you don't need me. No lore. Bye.
All right, so the first bit of news we have, there is a new SPVP matchmaking algorithm coming in the 2.7 patch. The mock code, I guess they called it, was released on Wiki, and it took what was successful in Season 5 and tweaked it a little bit to make it that much better for Season 6. So it's out there now for the first iteration in, I guess, in tournament play, because ranked is over, right?
Yeah, it is over. Yeah, it ended
It ended on Tuesday.
on Tuesday. Yeah, it ended the same day the patch was supposed to come out.
Well, but I didn't even finish my qualifying matches because I didn't get in on the first week, and by the time I got in, it didn't matter how well that I played. I was playing with a bunch of brand new people to PvP, is what I'll call it, and I lost 6 out of 7 fights. And then I did 4 more, but they didn't count because people were rage quitting and not finishing the matches. So I just decided that I wasn't going to PvP this season, so I skipped it.
Yeah, I got in with Mance a couple of times. We were just he was farting around on there, and I popped in, and Mance is with Shadow Gypsies, if anybody's wondering. Just a good friend of ours, and I popped in, and he was doing it, and he's like, "Hey, Gallios, you feel like coming in here and just farting around?" So we went in there, and he played a Guardian. I played Rev, and then we had another friend, and man, the name escapes me at the moment, but he played Warrior. And Mance actually came up with a really quick PvP build right on the spot. We sat there in the waiting area, and he's like, "Okay, we're gonna do this, 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 and this." He says, "So when we go in, the first attack we make, we're gonna do this." And we were popping 25 might right off the bat. The first guy we went down first strike, like one hit, and he was gone. And it was like we just stayed together as much as we could, and we were just wrecking people. And but we all had to leave. We didn't play ranked because we wanted to test it out. But by the time we got comfortable with it, yeah, everybody had to leave, so we didn't get to try it out in ranked. We wouldn't have been able to go in together anyway. With the because you could only go in as a group of 2 still. So we never made it, but it was fun. I mean, I didn't do much ranked PvP either, but we did go in the unranked and had a blast. It was pretty cool.
Nice. All right, so that's the skinny on the PvP. So some more PvP. Some naughty SPVP players got removed from the leaderboards, and they got banned for the rest of the season.
Whoop, whoop.
Poor little guys. I guess there was some kind of exploit, and Grant Gertz went on the Goers 2 forums and made the announcement that they received several reports of players participating in activities that were detrimental to the accuracy and fair competition of League Season 5 leaderboards, and after conducting their investigation of the current leaderboards, they decided to take action and remove a number of accounts. So the accounts were removed from the leaderboard and restricted from playing in rated arenas for the remainder of the season. So that's good because, I mean, they didn't do anything about it in Season, 4? So it's good to see that they did something about it this season.
That is good. That needs to be done. I mean, it's a game. You shouldn't cheat. It takes away from everybody else's fun, and in the long run, it really takes away from yours because now you can't play it. Me.
Well, I mean, I know that was some of the complaints when people were rage quitting. The Dishonor wasn't really that much of a problem for them. You know, you sit out for a couple minutes and then you can jump right back in and rage quit again and just keep doing your dishonor, you know. So I don't know. It's good to see that they're taking care of this kind of stuff, because I did harp on them last time because they didn't do anything about people exploiting in Stronghold, and they did something about it this time. So
Yeah, kudos, man.
yeah, good for them. All right, so next, at first when I read this, I really didn't care.
I still don't care.
Well, but it's
I'm sorry.
There's a message. So Denial Esports, which is, you know, Helsig is one of those guys on that team. They are leaving GW2 Esports for now. They are moving on to Smite. So, like I said, at first I didn't care, but then I watched a video that Helsig did, and he actually raised some good points. The reason they're leaving is because there hasn't been a lot of tournaments, and they felt that the team was starting to the team's bond and efficiency was starting to decay because they just weren't able to play. So in the season, it's a duo queue. You couldn't do a 5-man. They weren't really able to play together, so they decided that they were moving on to Smite. The interesting thing about it is they have been asking Guild Wars 2 when more tournaments were coming. They hosted their own tournament, and I mean, they didn't really get any answers from Guild Wars 2 about it, so they decided that they were going to move on. So
yeah, and if you haven't watched the video, he did express that, you know, they do love the game.
Yes.
It's just, you know, they're a team and they have to compete. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, when you're competing as a team and you don't get to compete together for long periods of time, it takes away from your effectiveness as a team. So you know, so they decided to invest their time in Smite.
Yeah.
Nothing, Kora?
I mean, I'm listening, but I don't do this stuff. So have fun on your new game, guys.
All right, so the secret news, the ninja news that I didn't put in the show notes.
Ninja news. Gotta love ninja news.
So I got down on Romo and Sylvia last show, kind of making fun and poking fun at everybody about no legendary coming in with this patch. And a legendary came in with this patch. And, you know...
It's pretty.
Yeah, it looked great in the leaked pic. So it's getting pretty sad, I have to say, that we're getting all of our news from either Massively Overpowered or MMORPG, whichever outlet they choose to embargo, and we're getting all these leaks left and right. So
yeah,
things are starting to get a little bit ridiculous to me. I'm not mad that a legendary came out, but what we got was confirmation of Bastion of the Pentient coming in the new patch, which was Raid Wing 4. We also got confirmation of the new Living Story coming in, which we all knew was coming. We got a teaser for that. That was pretty much it. And we got a teaser for the new home instance kitty cat. That's what we got. So what ArenaNet is saying to me that, you know, making your home instance look like the cat lady that the ASPCA watches is more important to them than a new legendary. Because I was just floored. So Romo was right. A new legendary came in. Sylvia was half right because one legendary came in. She said there was two. So I give you guys your props for that. I will admit on the air that I was wrong. There you go. But there's a theme in the news here because the next story is going to tie it in. The lack of communication is stunning. If you want to control hype, that's fine. What is wrong with saying, okay, here's your release, this is what you're getting? Did you think you weren't going to release the legendary? Somebody already had the screenshot of it because it released the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what they think. I don't know who thought it was a great idea to, you know, take resources away from other things. You don't have resources to make a keychain. You don't have resources to make the material storage changes that you've been talking about for the past year. You don't have the resources to make armor skins, But you can make 35 damn cats for your home instance that barely anybody goes to. It boggles my mind.
Somebody's been watching too many cat videos.
No, it has nothing to do with that. Nobody cares. I mean, people care about the. This is not the time for jokes, my friend.
The cats are probably very easy for them to drop in because it's not. They're not having to make a new model.
Here it is. It's so easy. No, it's still the dev resource.
Well, yes, but I'm wondering, like, time. Like, they've already got. It's essentially like a mini game. They've already got it set up. It's just like put asset here, assign. I mean, I don't code, so maybe I am making it oversimplified. I'm just trying to imagine, well, if they've already got this thing where here's a cat and you go to the cat and you give the cat X, then cat will then appear in your home instance. So if it's,
okay,
that simple, then it is very easy for them to go, oh, this is something people really liked. Let's add another cat and let's just drop it here. And it could be as simple as literally just putting it here and then, assigning, there it is. There's the code. And we're going to give this one, drag and drop this food item into it and boom, it's done. It could be as simple as, oh, it only takes, half an hour maybe.
Okay. Well, I can also say in my very limited understanding of programming, I do understand that your material storage in the game is either a data array or a table. That's all it is. It's a database. So X goes into table 2 column 1 row 16. That's all it takes. So it can't be easier to make a cat than it is to make a keyring. There's no way. Dun, dun.
I doubt that.
It is. I used to do it. I used to make data arrays.
The keyring is a whole new thing that they're having to do versus, like I said, the cat is a system that they've already got in game.
It's table 3 of 3. There's already tables in the game. It's just adding a column to it or making a new table.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So I got a little peeved because they're like, oh, look at the cat. And it's like, oh, big deal. So if you in real life had 35 cats running around your apartment, first off, it would stink. Second off, the ASPCA would be knocking on your door every day, like making sure you're taking care of these poor cats.
Clearly, they're feral cats, and we are putting out food for them to help this feral cat colony survive the winter.
It is
Gord.
Enough with the damn cats. And some of them are. The profession cats are very complicated. The snowball cats throwing snowballs at each other. There's some complicated mechanics in the cats. A little bit of AI programming had to go into it, too. So I'm just saying, between them forcing out cats is just, to me, ridiculous when you're saying, oh, we don't have time for quality of life updates, but we have time to make a cat. They have to do quality of life. Like Lindsay Murdoch said, she has to work on material storage. She has to work on key rings, anything like that on her downtime.
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to defend like, oh, we need more cats, because I do feel like there are a lot of cats, and I don't even think I have one. Like, it's cute, but it hasn't been something that I felt compelled, like I need to have these cats, and I love cats in real life. So I feel like there was a sect of the community that just really, really responded and loves these cats so much. And ArenaNet was like, oh my God, we did something that they love. Let's put more of it in.
But
and now it's sort of like, well, you don't.
Segment of the community. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But there's a segment of the community that likes the idea of having a keyring.
Yeah.
Probably more people would like a keyring than a home instance cat.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm not saying I wouldn't want a keyring. I'm just trying to look at what's happening, and I think it's that at some level, somebody or a couple people or a team of supervisors went, the community loves the cats. Put more cats in. Shuffle the cats in. You're not putting cats in fast enough.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Everybody hates us. Give them something cute. Give us something we want.
And I think you want to drop in cats. That's fine. But like, how many do we have? Like, it's becoming the expectation of like, oh, we're gonna get another cat. Like, maybe we don't need a cat every new drop, or
I would
how
say definitely.
often you're putting them in? Like, it was fun when it was more rare and it was new, and now it's just
It's just like hidden current events.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Stop
Yeah.
doing it, please. Good God, stop doing it. Make an armor set. Stop making cats. Make an armor set.
I don't own a single
So
cat.
between, I own 6, and I was like, really? There's more than this? Anyway, the other thing too is when you have a prominent partner, because Denial Esports was one of their partnered esport teams, I believe, or one of their signed esport teams. You're not talking to your partners. There's a problem with that. I mean, if you're trying to control hype and you're trying to control expectation, if you don't want to overpromise, I can understand all those points. It did happen in the past. It was something that I was vocal about needed to change, and I think that they changed it. But they went all the way to the other side of the spectrum, to the point where people just aren't getting hyped about patches anymore, in my opinion. So I think the communication is horrible and needs to change. Big time.
You want to control expectation, but you still have to have conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
It's ridiculous right now. The communication's ridiculous. When you're sending out a picture of a new freaking cat before you're even talking about a legendary, I mean, come on. And it was leaked. What's going on with all these leaks? It's done. Yeah. It's done. Papaya's real. You know, we're gonna bow to our cat overlords in our home instance, and that's it. Everything's done. I don't know. It's just grating my freaking nerves so bad. Like, I just want to shake somebody and be like, "Look, this is how you do it."
I mean, I'm sure it's frustrating for them where they are getting those leaks, and I don't know. Are they coming internally? Are workers?
It had to have, because it was on the test server. Because it released a day before. It released on Monday night, I believe. It was Monday night. It dropped on Reddit, and the next day it was the patch was delayed because it was still in test. So somebody from the test server put out a picture of the new rifle.
No, do you mean somebody like a worker, like an arena employee?
I don't know how much. I mean, I know that partners, and I know that some people that are invited to beta test Raid Wings do have access to some parts of the test server. Yeah. Or the dev server, or they have some separate space. Maybe it was in there. I don't know, because I think what they do is they work on the next build that goes out to the test server where people have access to it. So it could have been out there. I don't see a worker doing it. I don't see why a worker would do it.
I imagine that they are trying to figure out what's happening with the leaks. If it is an employee and they find out which employee, I mean, that employee's fired.
No, I understand that, but I mean, there's no justification for not talking about a legendary coming. They said something about legendary armor. They said something about, you know, the new Raid Wing. They said something about the Living Story coming out. You know, they pulled their little bait and switch with Lake Doric. They let the community believe that Lake Doric wasn't coming. I did say last week that Lake Doric was coming because it's a known place, it's established in lore, and it did come. So I don't think too many people were surprised by that, but I mean, whatever. Yeah. Somebody's got to look at the communication. I mean, what their level of communication now is not controlling anything. It's just an annoyance at this point. Like, try making a podcast about a game where you have no information. I mean, it's insane.
And that's coming from upper management. I mean, their community team is awesome. If the community team had the support and was getting the approval of, let's go ahead and put this stuff out there.
Their community team is Ruby and Regina.
Ruby, Regina, Stefan.
Stefan's
Gail.
Marketing.
Stefan is marketing, but he's also, isn't he French community?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, Stefan. Maybe, I forgot your position.
He might be French community, but I mean, I'm sure French community is getting as much information as NA.
Yeah, well, I just meant like he's part of that team. I mean, and they're all great. They're all experts. They've been doing this, you know, these jobs for years. So for it to suddenly be,
it was I don't want to point fingers, but I believe it was Ruby that made the decision to tweet out the picture of the new home instance cat. And I think that is ludicrous. I think that's a horrible decision for somebody to make. If you
Why?
because they're hiding content.
But I mean, okay, one, it's not her going, I can either tweet the cat or the legendary. Like, they're probably saying, like, well, if you want, you can tweet the cat. That's all you're getting. And so she's going, okay, I love cats. I'll tweet the cat.
Well, that could definitely be the case. But that goes back to the original point of it's a ludicrous amount of communication. You know, people are leaving the game because of frustration, which has been happening for quite some time now. You have signed esports teams leaving the game because they can't get communication. I mean, they put all their eggs in esports. Esports was going to save Guild Wars 2. We talked about this.
Yeah.
And
no, and I do acknowledge that that's terrible if you've got professional teams leaving your esport because you're not communicating and you've been so hyped up on the esports, then yeah, that is something is going on there. I just didn't want it to sound like you were saying it was ludicrous for Ruby to make this decision. Well, I think she's
it was. I'm not trying to be mean to Ruby. I know Ruby is an awesome person, and she does her best with the information that she has, and maybe that was her only limited option, that she could only release the picture of the cat. And if that's what she had, then that's ridiculous for her too. How do you excite your community with something like a cat? I think a lot of people are over it.
Well, there are people who are excited about the cat, and I'm like, if it's a cute cat, I'd look at the picture and go, "Oh, it's a cute cat." Like, I'd be fine with that.
That thing was a snaggle-toothed, red-eyed, freaking bite your soul, freaking cat.
You know what?
It was
not
disgusting.
Everybody is beautiful, Gord.
No, it's not even about
and everybody
beautiful.
Needs love.
Not everybody is demonic. That cat was demonic.
Sometimes demons need love too. Have you not been watching Lucifer?
It's just, I mean, all that stuff is fine.
I
want the community people to have fun.
And I agree with that. I'm just saying. I know Ruby, if she had been allowed, they said, "Hey, here's the upcoming legendary. You want to tweet about it?" She would have been all over that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
True. She's not choosing to hold stuff back. She would love to share, tons of stuff with the community. But if she's being told, "Yeah, no, you can't put that out yet."
Why?
Oh, well, what about this thing? No, yeah, you can't put that one out yet either. Why? Well, what can I put out?
They put a picture out of Shushidu. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah, but that's... I doubt that's community. That's some other team. That's marketing.
No. That's not community. That's not marketing. That's not a story dev. That's not a programming dev. That's not WvW devs. That's not any dev. That is your manager.
Yeah.
Period. And that's where the ridiculousness is, and it needs to stop. Mo, please just let people talk. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, you're getting a new legendary rifle." You don't have to do a write-up on it. You don't have to do a press release on it. Release a couple pictures like you did with Poopadoo, and you will have more happy people. Yeah. I mean...
Well, even what was it, the last one, the hammer? Didn't that one get...
No, the mace got... The mace got a blog write-up. Poopadoo got 2 pictures in MOP, and then this one got nothing.
Yeah.
It just ninja stealth. I mean, now we're ninja stealthing legendaries. Why should I care about making a legendary if it's not even important enough to tell me about?
Yeah. It's a little, I agree that it was a little weird that there was nothing. Not even in, the email that they send out to everybody when it's like, "Hey, the new stuff is coming, and here's the little picture, and here's the little blurb," and there was nothing in the email.
But you know what the most ridiculous part of it is? They knew on Monday that there was a possibility that the patch was going to be delayed, and they told media outlets, they told a couple game sites, and they embargoed it. So what information is that? What are you doing? That's stupid. I'm sorry, but that's a bad decision, and there's only one person that made that decision, as far as I'm concerned. And I really hate coming on the show every week and being like, "This sucks, that sucks, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong." I really don't want to be like that. But, I mean, come on. It's my eyes are stuck in the back of my head from rolling so much. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, that was my thing. I'm not as animated as as I usually am, because honestly, I'm used to it.
Well, I'm okay. I'm gonna end this little bit on a happy note. I think the legendary looks really cool, and if I was somebody who did legendaries with my engineer, who you can use a rifle, it would make me want to use a rifle, and I don't ever use a rifle. But that legendary is really cool looking.
I have Predator, and I know for sure that, looking at the picture, by the time I gathered all the materials and got done making that rifle, I'd be over that rifle. It would sit in a bag. It just would. It's a boat.
It's so pretty. I like it.
It's a boat.
It's a pretty boat.
I haven't seen it yet. Is that terrible?
It's a boat.
It's a pretty boat.
All right, we're going to move on. Last story. So apparently, this is it. This is the last update you all are getting on this subject. This is the last time it's going to rear its ugly head. DPS meters are Chris Cleary approved.
Via third-party app.
Via third-party app, provided. Okay, so I said last week that Chris Cleary did get on Reddit and say that he was going to have a discussion about the memory reading DPS meters. So in the AMA on patch day, he did clarify that using a memory reading program as a DPS meter, that all it does is aggregate and analyze combat data to analyze and give you your DPS output, is fine. It's not a violation of the terms of service. You can use the third-party memory scanning devices as a DPS meter, but when it starts breaking into looking at people's gear, when it starts breaking into other things, is where it gets into the gray area of the TOS, and you could be banned for doing that.
DPS meter.
I'm going to quote Chris Cleary now. He said, quote, "We have no problems with players using a third-party tool whose scope is only to collect and visualize combat data gathered directly from the game client. Anything beyond that scope is considered a violation of the user agreement." So a follow-up question from Dan Days on Reddit was, so does that mean memory reading DPS readers are okay as long as they only parse combat data? Chris Cleary said, "You are correct. Combat data is defined as any information that is created due to the usage of skills or impact on players due to skill usage." So that's that. We have our official ruling from the devs on a DPS meter. A whole slew of questions came after that. Spawberries on Reddit asked, so this means that the gear checking features of many current meters break the rules? Chris Cleary said yes. Player equipment besides sigils activating and the boons/damage associated with them does not fall within the realm of combat data. Others have implemented a solution for this using the APIs we provide rather than client data. I would suggest using that instead. So yeah, any gear checking is considered a violation of the terms of service, but you can use a third-party DPS memory reading DPS meter in order to aggregate combat damage and get your DPS. So yeah, so you can use the DPS, the memory reading DPS meter. It's not but anything beyond combat data, breaking the rules, you get the boot. I want to see Doom. I want to see Doom bans soon, ain't it?
So I'm glad you covered that, Gord.
I'm glad that people are finally going to get their DPS stuff that they have really wanted. Mm-hmm. I am the type of player who goes, oh, I'm just going to put this on and then I'm going to put that on because those two things look cool together and I'm going to go fight a thing. So maybe I should start paying attention if when a good TPS meters roll out, maybe that would help me learn to maybe I should equip a different thing.
Yeah,
because I don't really pay attention to that, so whatever. I'm terrible. I play for the story, guys. I play for the lore.
There you go.
I was gonna say, if you're not competing, it's really not as important, because at least when you're competing, your output, or if you're doing something that is more accelerated, like a raid, because that's really accelerated content for
Mhm.
folks who need more of a challenge. It is important to kind of know that kind of stuff, because you may be thinking that you're doing all the DPS and you're not, or you may think you're, and I guess toughness doesn't make a difference in this particular case, but like, certain wings, if you've got the most toughness, you're going to be the one you're basically tanking. So, I kind of get it for that stuff, but doing what you're doing, Cora, there's really no need for DPS meter.
Yeah.
Doing what you're doing, Cora, i.e., just look at the pretty thing. Oh, I'm gonna go fight over there.
I
Yeah,
mean, there
that's what I
is
do.
for if you're doing dungeons or if you're doing fractals, there is a need for a DPS meter in
You
that
need to know
application.
who's going to be your damage guys. You do need to know that. That's pretty important.
Yeah.
And you just have to run the raids a couple of times to see where it is important. So I get it.
Yeah,
Took me a little bit
But-
to get it, but I get it.
I may start trying to get it. We'll see. We'll see. I don't hold out hope. The other thing we were commenting on about wanting to see Doom back in game, banning people, because he's one of the old gods, I don't see them bringing him back in to Guild Wars 2, but I'd be really fine with Shining Blade or Seraph soldiers appearing and grabbing a character who's getting banned and just like arresting them. Like there could be a little dialogue and then they drag them away and you never see them again. That would be
Stripping them
funny.
down, tying their hands behind their back, bringing them to the edge of the cliff, and kicking them off.
Yeah, or like how when you do bounty hunts and you beat the bounty and that cage drops around them.
Yeah.
So you've already
Yes.
got that animation there,
Well,
and then
that
you could
would be
just
fun.
have like a white mantle or sorry, not white mantle, a seraph appear and be like under arrest and dragging the cage off.
I'd rather have Doom.
I know you would, but you can't always get what you want.
Yeah,
so,
no, like armor sets and like
oh god,
legendary teasers and
Miss-
news.
Wah.
All right, so that's all the news I have. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up?
Sometimes I wish I did, but I don't, because everything you've covered is exactly what I read. The only thing that I would probably add, and I don't know if you want us to, was in the AMA. And I don't know if you want me to talk about it now or
No,
in
we're
the
gonna
World v
cover-
World section, but
We'll
DBL
cover that,
changed.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Not enough. It's still in the game.
So it's I played it. It's active now, and I went in there to check it out.
Meh.
So it's not anything spectacular,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some little tricks. I think they're not ready to scrap it, so they're trying whatever they can to. The whole part of that map, what makes it so bad is the travel. I mean the travel is just atrocious. It's too spread out. I think I understand where they were trying to go with it, and I always have where they were trying to go with it. It did fail. It's time to take it out. But they did try some stuff, and the Oasis is no longer just different than the other two. The Oasis matches the other two now. It has ruins, and you do get the ruins for Bloodlust. There was a wall taken down, and I'm trying to remember where that was, but it escapes me. And if you get your shrines in an area, you do have a launch pad that if you jump on it like you do on a launch pad in PvE, it does basically vault you over to the next shrine. So there is a little bit of time saved if you want to get from north side to south side. You just hit the shrines and they'll pop you across, but you got to own them. So, but that was all of it. That's the only news I had that of course I was immediately interested in.
Yeah.
So I went and checked it out, and it's kind of cool. I mean the animation's kind of cool, but because like at the Fire Keep, you have this twister of fire coming up from one location, which is the launch pad. You jump on it, it pops you through the air, you fly across the map and land at the other shrine, and then there's another one there. You can jump to the next shrine, etc., etc. I did not get to test whether or not they go inside the keeps, but I read that it's supposed to happen. But I had to quit before I finished investigation. But
Yay.
you know, again, I think they're doing it. You know, they are trying not to get rid of it because I'm sure it did take time to create, and they don't want to just scrap it. But I think it's getting to the point where they're going to have to make a decision soon and probably scrap that soon. The whole Borderland.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I said that, what, 9 months ago?
no. You know, I didn't mind it at first.
Yeah, I know.
But when it got to be where you couldn't get a fight, you couldn't catch the enemy because you were spending, you know, 10 minutes traversing the map trying to get down to a location with swords on it, you know,
Yeah.
it started to become tedious, and nobody really wanted to do it. And the only reason I ever do it is because you can go there and you need to do something for your server, and that's, I mean, because that's the way I've always been. You know, I want to help my server, so I go there because nobody else is there to do it. You know, and the other servers are there, especially when it's your home Borderland. So, you know, that's one of the reasons I have gone there, but I can't say that I enjoy it anymore. I don't particularly care for it at all. So, but anyway, that was my news. Woohoo!
Yay. All right, so that's going to wrap up the news. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back to jump into WW Advanced Tactics.
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll be right back. Okay, and we are back. All right, so this is something that we've been wanting to do for a while, and this is more, we covered in episode 15, we covered kind of small group Havoc WW tactics. So this time we're going to cover more of the bigger group tactics and some things that we use, some things that I learned coming up in WW, and some basics. So
real quick, because I'm already gonna start doing my role of now for somebody who doesn't understand or didn't watch that previous episode, can you give a quick 1-sentence summary on Havoc?
A Havoc is run and gun. You're going to focus on towers, quick captures of towers, camps, sentries, and really just try and pull a group to you to stop you from taking all their stuff, backcapping, all their stuff, backcapping being you going and capture an asset and somebody comes right behind you at 3 minutes and flips it back before the PPT, the points per tick clock.
So it's
scores.
sort of small guerrilla teams going in, blitzing a target, and then getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yes.
Got it.
Correct.
Perfect. So what we're going to talk about more tonight is more of a medium to a large base, not quite a Zerg or a map blog, but what you can do with 20 to 25 people, which I guess could be considered a Zerg. So maybe we'll say 15 to 20 people. So caveats. First off, if you're listening to this, you should have a basic understanding of WW.
Don't worry if you don't, though, because I'm here to help.
Second off, if you are going into, not in all cases, but in most cases, if you're going into WW with your standard run-of-the-mill PvE build, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Oops.
There are builds that work. There are builds that don't work.
So what you're saying is the Kora style of gameplay of I'm going to put this pretty thing on, I'm going to put that pretty thing on, and then I'm going to go hit things until they fall down doesn't work in WW?
Nope.
It can, but you're going to get one pushed all the time, which means you die on the first push, which is not good.
How did you know?
Because
and we'll explain why getting one pushed is not good. There's a reason why.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
All right, so the last thing that you should know is you should understand how boons work within a group, and how boons and conditions work for outputting damage. You should also know combo fields and stuff like that. This is all basic stuff that you should already know before getting into some of these more, I guess, advanced, not really advanced, but these are more intermediate techniques when you're in a sizable mob. I've been in groups where there was 20 of us in a group and we took out 70 to 80 people in an opposing group because of positioning, because of the timing of skills, doing your role within the group, and so on and so forth. So it does work. There's been, I mean, I don't know about nowadays, but when I was really into WW, Zerg busting was something that I really loved doing. So these are all the basics that you should already have. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. I'm just telling you this stuff because if you haven't heard about this, or if you're not up to speed with this stuff, I just want to kind of get you to look in that direction and look some of this stuff up. There's plenty of guides out there on Reddit, on YouTube. Watch some of that stuff. So, Gallios, anything to add?
I was gonna say, and that point being made, it's so that you understand what we're going to be discussing too. So like, it may not make a whole lot of sense if you don't know that kind of stuff, but when you go back and look for it and you look it up, you'll say, oh, well, that's why it makes sense. And then you'll go in and you'll start noticing in World v World, you'll start noticing, especially if you have a commander who knows how to move his group, you'll start noticing where those points make sense. Like, here's a real important one, y'all. Stay out of the red circles.
Yeah.
So, things like that. And it'll make sense. It'll make more sense. And that's what Gord is saying. That's why you need to kind of have a background for any of the stuff for most of the stuff, not any of the stuff, but most of the stuff that he's going to start us off talking about. It'll make more sense when you know that stuff. So that was just an add to that to make sure everybody understood why he's saying that's important.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff that we could go into, but I mean, then we'll have like a 4-hour show. So, All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is group composition. Just like a raid, just like a fractal group, the professions that compose your group are going to make or break you. So if you are going in with a 10-man ranger group, you are not being effective. If you're going in with all warriors, you're not being effective. You have to spread the wealth. So what you should focus on really is your front line, which is all your tanks. It's usually composed of warriors or heavy armor. Necros can frontline, but it's very hard to do. You have to be very skilled as a necro to frontline. Guardians can frontline. Revs can sometimes frontline. Guardians will be more of a healing role, and your warrior is just a wall. So your front line should consist of high toughness, no DPS. You should be stacking your toughness. You can do some might to do some damage. What you should also be aware of is your burst skills, because your burst skills and your stuns, because we'll get into that later. But that's really what you're looking to do as a guardian. You're looking to keep the front line healed and pushing forward and protecting your back and midline. So midline is your DPS. Usually medium armor is midline. You can have light armor professions midlining, but usually they're going to stay to the back. Especially your Ellies, they're going to stay in the back line because they can cast skills in 1200 range, which is the maximum.
And they're dual purpose. Ellies can serve a dual purpose because they can do DPS and they can heal. Even if they just are set more for DPS, the additional healing that they can provide does help the group as well. So being in the back line is important for them because they do need to have that type of positioning.
Yeah.
To stay safe as long as possible.
So now you're talking, okay, well, you got back line, you got midline, you got front line. So what you should do, this is a good way to figure this out. A lot of a warrior's buffs and output, like in the build that I use I don't remember, I think it's phalanx strength is what it is, and that will output might, but you have to be within 300 range. So within 300 range means that your head should be slightly to the right or left of the character that you're within range with. If you could see your character's total body, you're not close enough. The next, what is it? 600 range is midline. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
600 range.
Yeah.
That is basically where, when you have a targeting reticle, if you put that targeting reticle on top of yourself, 600 range is just slightly past the outside ring of that casting circle. That's about 600 range. 1200 range is twice that. So I could say that, and maybe you can visualize it, but the best thing to do is just go in with an LE and lock your casting to max range and just see how far that is, and then you can get a good visualization there. You can do the same thing with 600 range skills and 300 range skills. You know, just lock your targeting reticle down to maximum range, and you'll be able to tell. It'll be at the edge of your targeting circle, will be at the max range. So that's a good way to test it out, and that's that. So the front line always stays in front. The front line is the wall between you and the opposing group. The front line's main role is to protect the mid and the backliners. Midliners are your DPS. Like I said, some backliners can be DPS, but really what's going to happen is when an opposing group sees you, they're going to go straight through you because they want to get to your backline if they're doing it well. Because you should take out backline first because they're squishy, and if you have a big heavy warrior running at your LE, you can put them down pretty quick because they're light armor, low HP. They take a lot of damage. So that's really the goal. So the goal of the front line is to stop the opposing front line from getting to your back line. That's about as simple as I can put it.
I don't think you can make it any simpler.
All right, good. And that's that. So know your role. If you're a midliner, you should not be running up front with the warriors. You should not be the first one into the battle because you're going to die. And if you die in the initial push, it's very bad for your team because as one person, you need, if you have a group of 20 people, you need all 20 people on their feet to be effective. If you don't have all
Correct.
20 people on their feet, you're being ineffective. If you're being ineffective, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing for WvW. So
right, because here's how the battle's going to go. So your front tanks are your mitigation. In other words, that's who's going to take the brunt of the tsunami that's about to hit your group. Okay, because you got to be thinking in your head, they're going to be thinking the same thing, and it's time to out strategize the other people. So here's what's going to happen. They're going to try to bust through your front line to get to your mid and your back line. If they break through to mid back line and your backliners die, yes, your tanks are probably going to last a little bit, but you're still going to lose the fight. Why? Because you're not destroying the enemy now. Okay, you're basically just tit for tat. If their backline is still up, your warriors are going to go down. So you're going to lose the battle. The battle is won by everybody being in the correct position and knowing their role and sticking to that role.
yeah.
So the minute you see your backliners going down, you might as well just think that, hey, we'll kill as many as we can, but we're going to lose this battle. So that's the importance of staying in your place and supporting backline. You're going to support the front line, just like the front line supporting you. They're your armor. They're your shield. You've got to keep them up, and then you've got to start taking out the things that are attacking them. So it may be in the form of rotating around. So say, for instance, you do see them coming through. Don't stay there. You have two options. You can double dodge through it, or you can do what I like. We rotate. So basically it's like the hands of a clock. So if the center is your front line, if you see, and you always want to try to either keep an eye on the quote unquote Dorito, the commander's tag, and watch which direction he's moving in. You rotate behind that direction. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but you rotate. As a ranger, I played rangers for a really long time. When you get the hang of it, you can last a very long time and do a lot of damage as a ranger, but it all matters on positioning. There's nothing more important than the position for the back line.
Yeah.
So you have to pay attention, stay in your back line. Don't do like what, Gord said, don't do it yet. Don't do it. Do not try to engage tanks one-on-one. It's not going to work.
Well,
okay.
Not just that. if you're a backline or a midliner, you should never be to the right or left of your front line. You should always be directly behind your front line, because that's your wall. So if you think of it as, somebody's shooting at you and you have cover, you're not going to go and stand away from the cover and let them shoot at you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next topic that I wanted to broach was the importance of voice comms. I have commanded, and when you have to put your commands in chat so that everybody knows what you're doing, it's very annoying and
counterproductive, because your tank, that is usually your commander, needs to have his hands on the keyboard.
Yeah, exactly, and not typing. So make sure that if you're in a group like this, you should definitely be in voice comms. Even if you're not talking, you should listen to what's going on, because it's much easier for me to say, okay, we're going to push west. Push west with me. Everybody pushes west with me. And then if you're not on voice comms, you're like, oh, where's the pin going? Oh, gee, I can't find the pin and all this damage. Oh, wait, I'm dead. So that's how quick it goes. So be in voice comms. Maybe I should have said that in the beginning before I started. All right, so here's the next thing now. There's two ways that you could play WW, okay? And Gallios is going to want to say something to this comment, but I'm going to make you wait. It's not time yet, okay? If you're not playing to advance the war score and make sure that your skirmish points are the highest so that you get the higher war score, you're not really playing WW right. You can win 100 battles, you can get 1,000 bags, and be in third place. So, I mean, honestly, you should be looking at the war score. Now, there's a couple things that you could do when you look at the war score. If you log in and you notice that, we'll say you're in second place, first place is taking a rest. There's not a lot of first place population that's going on in WW right now, but third place is pretty active. There's two ways that you can react to that. The first is you can go and take some of the assets of that first place owns on another map and see if third place will play with you and allow you to kind of split their assets to take away from some of their skirmish score, or you can try to decimate third place to leave them in third place and try and close the gap on first place. So either way is whatever you feel is more important, but you should be looking at the entire war score. If you don't know how to look at the war score, Kora, did you want to jump in? Kora fell asleep.
I couldn't find my mute. Yes. What is a war score, please?
Okay, so the war score is the total points that your server is collecting. So it's broken down into a 2-hour battle. Gallios, is it 2-hour skirmish?
Yes.
So for 2 hours, you're skirmishing. So all the points that you get in the points per tick go to your skirmish score. So at the end of that 2-hour round, whoever is in first place for that skirmish gets 5 points. Second place gets 3 points or 4 points, and third place gets 3 points.
As of
Friday.
Tonight. As of Wednesday.
No, as of tonight.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. As of tonight, I forgot they said it was going to be on the next reset.
Yeah. So there's different things that you could do. You can even try and reach out to third place and say, hey, you know what? Let's kind of turn everything away from first place. We'll work with you. We'll allow you to have this much of this borderland. You keep your borderland, we'll keep our borderland, and we'll split first place's borderland and ride that PPT for as long as we can and just defend what we have, and we won't interact with each other. We'll leave each other be. And that might work, that might not. It depends, because third place might want second place and they don't care about you.
Correct.
But usually it's kind of more tempting to take somebody who's not on the map and kind of work with stuff like that. So either way, or you, like I said, you could decide, hey, I don't like this server and they're going to stay in third place because I want them to go down one tier in WW. So you can play it however you want, but definitely assess the war score. Look at what it is, decide the plan for your group and what you're going to accomplish based on the war score. Because if you're not playing for the war score, you should be playing an EOTM, which is Edge of the Mist.
Hallelujah.
So, I think that's all the the advanced basic stuff. Anything you want to add, Gallios?
Yeah. If you want a GVG, get off the freaking map. And I know that people want to have fights because I want to have them as well. But the whole part of World v World is having a war that someone wins. Like Gord alliterated to earlier, if you're going to come onto the map, you should be contributing to the war score. Not running around being just somebody taking up space because you want to get into a fight with another guild. That's all well and good, but you know what? Find them at a location that is being attacked, then kill them because you are saving an asset. As some people know by now, we were doing something that we'll describe a little later. Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Jesus.
But I do agree with you. There is Edge of the Mist. Edge of the Mist is an overflow map where if you want a GVG, there's plenty of space for you to GVG there. Don't do
Obsidian
it on Borderlands.
Sanctum, if you own your own freaking guild hall. I mean, seriously.
Go do something like that.
Okay.
That's just my personal thing. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have a beef with a guild and you're running around the map and you're taking the towers that they take, back capping their stuff, and fighting, or even just open field fighting them and getting stomps that contribute to the skirmish score, that's fine. But if you're just going around and looking for easy fights for bags, you can do that in EOTM, in my opinion. So that shouldn't be on the borderline. All right. So here we go. These are some of the advanced techniques that I have learned in WW, and I'm going to try to explain them as best I can. Some of them are easy, some of them are hard. So the one thing that I always try and do, and if you run with me in WW, you know, is what I call shock and awe. So what is shock and awe? If you hit a group and you decimate that group, and they come back and you hit that group and decimate that group quickly, and if they come back and you hit them quickly and decimate them quickly, they're going to leave the map. That's shock and awe. You want to try and build I guess a reputation for your group. If it's a guild group or even just a commander and they see your tag, you want them to run away, and that's what shock and awe does. So what you do is you just hit them hard. You have to be tight and proper with your commands. If you're commanding, you have to be tight and proper with executing the commander's commands if you're in the group. And if you do that, you will run them over. And if you do that enough, they're going to leave your map, and it's now your map. So that's one thing that I always try and do is a shock and awe technique. Simple.
Yeah, and we got a little bit of that back. We looked like the old Mog group for a little while last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had more heavies too.
Yeah,
to be honest.
It looked really smart.
Kora?
It does work.
Kora, any questions?
Not so far. I'm just listening, and you guys are talking all the words about the things, and you're explaining how to do the stuff.
Yeah, and shock and awe is actually a true military tactic. So if you want to know the true definition, it is on the internet.
Yeah.
Shock and awe is actually a true military tactic. So it's basically you're shocking the enemy into being afraid of you before you even start the battle. So
yeah, I mean, I was joking. I'm making it sound like I'm really ditzy. I am listening and I am trying to take it in. I've never really done world with people who knew what they were doing, so a lot of it is sort of because I don't have that reference point. I'm like, well, okay, I'd have to be in game, I think, to see it. But there's enough of what you guys are saying where I'm like, okay, so that makes sense. Yeah. So
you're a logical thinker.
Keep wording.
All right. So another popular technique out there is the portal bomb. Portal bombs are effective. Okay. If you see a 10-man group and you portal from the top of the keep or the garrison or wherever they are, and you lay waste to them with 30, 35 people, that's not really a portal bomb. You portaled and killed somebody. So proper way to execute a portal bomb technique, you're going to need a mesmer that can that can invis, and you should have a thief that can also invis with Shadow Refuge and possibly Smokescreen. So, for example, your thief throws up Smokescreen. Your Mesmer and your thief stand in there. People should back out of that to allow the Mesmer and thief to get the boon, and everybody that can should blast that Smokescreen. So if you're on a warrior with Warhorn, Warhorn 5 is a blast skill. The thief can do a number 2 short bow to blast it. Any blast that you have, blast finisher, you blast it, that increases the stacks. So what's going to happen at this point is your thief and your Mesmer are going to run and try and get behind the group as your group, and their stealth, as your group pushes in an opposite direction. So what you want to happen is as the front line reaches the group, is heading towards the group, your Mesmer is going to drop the portal, run back to your commander, drop the portal entrance, and you're going to port behind, reverse, and crush their backline. If you do it effectively enough, you can wipe huge groups. So that's kind of the proper way to do a portal bomb. I know other people might have different execution for that, but that's how I've always done it. That's how I learned how to do it. And that's about as simple as I can put it.
I thought you did a good job explaining it.
You worded the thing very well.
Thank you.
Because I never really utilized the portal bomb. I've been in groups that do, but I've never orchestrated a good portal bomb. So I don't have a lot of experience with it.
The whole thing is your opponent's front line is all their toughness. That's their shield. So what you want to do is get to the back where a lot of their DPS is. And if you strike in unison, you call a target and you take out that backline first. You take out their Necros, you want to take out their Mesmers, you want to take out their Ellies. Those are really the high priority targets in the backline. And a portal bomb is a good way to do that. And it works if you can trick somebody. Now, if you're doing a portal bomb in every battle, it's going to stop working. Just so you know. I mean, if it doesn't stop working, then there's something wrong with the group that
you're portal bombing.
Yeah.
Because I have seen them fail too.
Oh yeah, they fail a lot. They fail a lot. It all depends on how quickly the front line can reverse to shore up and protect their back line. That's really what it comes down to. So it might not work every time, but as far as I'm concerned, that's a proper way to do a portal bomb. I've seen a lot of people throw a portal down and portal like 50 people to take out 10, 15, 20 people. And that's not really a portal bomb. You're just really portaling to a location to overpower somebody with sheer number. So
that you could have done in the first place if you'd have just went forward.
Exactly. All right, so here we go. Now I give you the green light when I'm done with this, Gallios.
Yes.
I call this the hammer and anvil technique. Some other people I know call it ass jamming. So this came up. So hammer and anvil technique. There's two ways that you can do this. A commander might reach out to you and say, hey, you got 20 people in your group. I have 40 in my group. I'm going to engage this group. Once I engage, I want you to come up behind and take out their backline. So at that point, what you're doing is the larger group is the anvil and you become the hammer, and you want to push through their backline, taking out the backline, while pushing their midline forward towards their front line, which is also pushing them on your ally team's front line where they're dying, and you squash them like little ants. So you usually want to do this in some kind of choke point. It doesn't work too well in open field unless you have Mesmers that can throw up stealth veil. But it's another effective technique. So now Gallios has a story. So share your story, sir.
Okay, so there's something that really pisses me off about people who come on a map to just look for fights. They're not interested in the war score. They're not interested in helping anybody else. They're not interested in getting any help. Well, I got news for you. On a freaking map with Gallios, and if you're going to come over here, do your freaking job. Okay. The other night, we come up on, I think we were in DBL. We were on the camp on the southeast side, and I noticed that there was a guild from the opposing server running away from the camp. So, I called out, incoming. We started following them. We're getting to them, and I noticed there's a purple pin on the other side. So I said, well, it looks like they're going to get engaged by this purple pin. So Gord screams out, "Ooh, hammer and anvil, hammer and anvil." Because it just so happens to be that this guild that we were following was a guild that did the same thing to us with their buddies in one of the crevasses, where you cross the bridge on the way to the airkeep. So anyway, we perform the most beautiful hammer and anvil technique on the fly and just decimate. We decimate. We're all excited. We're cheering. Man, this was performed perfectly. Nobody got away. And the guy, actually it wasn't the commander, but one of his peons decided to tell us that we were ass jamming pelicans and we stole their kill, etc., etc., etc. So, I immediately began to give him a piece of my really large mind. And, there was a lot of animosity after that. And I'll tell you this, any group that would do that doesn't deserve to get any assistance if they call for any, first of all, and shouldn't be playing in World v World. If you want to go GVG, go GVG somewhere else. Okay, because I'm trying to enjoy World v World. I'm trying to play Risk. Okay, I mean, I know to some people the fight is everything. And granted, there is nothing more enjoyable than getting into a Zerg fight. And especially if you're the victor. I enjoy it too. But, we have a job to do on the map, and that's to work together. And he had the audacity to tell me I don't communicate when he didn't come on the map and say, hey, we just intend to be, killing people and doing this. So if you see us there and you see us fighting, just leave us alone. We'll win. Go do something else. Okay. I might have respected that, but to degrade and defame something that was actually done properly is asshole. So just letting you guys know that even though you're on my team, you're a big, giant, round brown. So anyway,
I doubt that they're still on our server the way they were acting, because they were also trolling map chat.
Yeah, well, they trolled a couple of other guilds too, and basically they called us names and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, but you're freaking childish, and it's real easy for someone to be a big tough guy when he's on a video game. If you can't be a big tough guy in real life, don't be one in a video game, because you're a moron.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't make you any better. It doesn't make people respect you, because I actually would have respected them if they said, hey, appreciate the assist, but we were hoping to fight them. If you come to somebody as a gentleman or gentlewoman, a gentle person. I got to be politically correct here. Don't berate people for doing their job. It's not good. It doesn't promote healthy relations on a server. Because
If
now
you
I just want them out of
cannot speak the nice
I just want
words,
them out
then
of my
don't
server.
speak any words at all.
Do what?
I was saying, if you cannot speak the nice words, then don't speak any words at all.
And you don't even have to be nice. I mean, I guess nice is bad, because you want to be cordial, or presentable, and I'll give you a good for instance on how it should be handled. We were playing on the Borderlands, very, very low population. I'm just running around with one other guy. A thief comes, he's standing out in the field, he's from BG, okay? And he bows to me. And, so I don't normally duel. I'm not very good 1v1 because I'm not set up to 1v1 in World v World.
Mm-hmm.
And he bowed, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give him the satisfaction. I'm going to bow, so we duel. He does not stomp me, okay? So he killed me. He's a thief against my Revenant, who is built for backline at the moment, midline backline. And he beat me. I knew he was going to beat me. I had no doubt he was going to beat me. But I gave him the opportunity to fight. He did not stomp me, which in dueling is a courtesy, okay? Like, hey, I'm not going to make you run all the way back from your waypoint. Well, we parted ways, and me and another guy went to go take a camp. Well, what we didn't realize is that guy followed us to the camp, tried to stop us at the camp. We killed him, and the guy I was running with stomped him. And the guy whispered me and says, that's pretty uncool. And so I sent him a thing back saying, hey, I didn't realize you were the same guy. I didn't not tell my guy not to stomp you. So my apologies. I will let you have this camp. We will go away for 5 minutes. And that's just courtesy. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a prick. You can be just as respectful and just as respected by not being a prick. Because honestly, I have no respect for the guild that did what they did to us. None whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if they ever show up on another server, guess who we're hunting all night long? So anyway, I've got that off my chest. It made me angry. I got angry again now, but I'm going to calm down now and drink my bourbon.
You feel better, buddy.
I do. I just had to get that off my chest. Don't be a prick. Okay? I mean, there's to me, I'm from the old school of honor.
Yep.
And courtesy and the way of a gentleman. And I'm sorry, that's just how I am. It's how I'm built. That won't change. But don't piss me off. They pissed me off. So I was not very gentlemanly, but I did it in whisper, unlike him who did it in map chat.
Well, he didn't say. I didn't get how a pelican got involved.
Because pelicans usually come and take the dead fish, or they steal fish, etc., etc. That's what he's talking about.
All right.
So anyway,
Well,
okay, I'm over it.
There you go. I let you have your piece.
I wanted to curse more, but this is somewhat of a family show, so I'm trying to behave.
All right, so moving on. So that covers like some of the more popular tactics I use for group fights. So what we're going to go into now is some of the other. So first off, scouting. Scouting is important. If you run your map and you flip the entire map to your server color, you should put a scout up in hills and a scout up in bay. You should at least have one scout in each of the northern towers and even the southern towers, just to keep eyes on, have a couple of arrow carts to defend, just because you don't want to give up everything that you just took. So, you dominate a map, you chase everybody up. So scouting is important. So,
may I say why it's important besides what you said?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the reason scouting is important is like what Gord said. You don't want to lose what you just got. And a very important reason of not losing it is there's two reasons why. One, the longer you hold it, the better your chances are that keep or tower or whatever camp is going to upgrade. Upgrades add more to your skirmish score.
Yep.
So for every tier that you gain, you get more points per tick. Okay, and what we mean by the tick is the clock goes for X amount of time, and then you get the points from the current skirmish goes towards your war score, which then goes towards the final score. So the longer you hold something, the better the chance that is going to upgrade. When that upgrades, you get more points. The other thing you want to do you want to remember too is when you do have scouts, make sure you take care of your scouts. And there's two ways to do that. You pay them, or you make sure that they're cool with participation. In other words, you set them up as a participant in your group, and no matter where you go, what you do, every time you take something, they get credit for it, like if they were in that battle. So those are two things to remember for setting up the scout. Very, very important that you keep them as long as you can if you want to contribute to the war score. So
yep,
that's it.
And just to expand on that, if you're getting participation, all that means is that your map participation will not decay. You won't get bags for scouting.
Correct.
You'll get credit for dailies if you take a keep. If your group takes a keep, you'll get credit for that. But all it does is it keeps your map participation from decaying. So you are still losing some stuff, but scouting is important. So when you're scouting, information is what is key. If you see one person run up to your tower that you're guarding, that's fine. They're just checking it out. You can, I like to say fire across the bow, which is if I'm standing at an arrow cart and I see somebody come up to a gate, I'm going to shoot one volley of arrows so he knows, hey, somebody's here. If a group comes up, that's when you're going to alert somebody. And what you need to do is you need to include the server. If it's a guild group, you need to include the guild tag, and you need to include a number. Now, you're not going to sit there and count every single head that's there. You got to get used to guesstimating. So
the law of approximation.
The law of approximation. So if you say that there's 25 and there ends up being 10, that's not a big deal. If you say there's 25 and there ends up being 75, that's a big deal.
Right, very big deal.
Because that's going to control what the response is. And you just put in, I believe they're also adding Borderland nameplates to team chat. But in team chat, if you're in jQuery Borderland guarding hills, and you see 20 people come up, they're on the cata wall, and they have catapults down. You're just gonna say in team chat JQBL hills 20 at the cata wall, 3 catas down if they put 3 catas down. And you're going to start giving percentages of what the wall is at. So you're going to target that wall. If you have ACs, you're going to try and slow them down. You might be asked if there is an emergency waypoint activator available. If there is, they might ask, a commander might ask you to pull it. You just go up and pull the lever. That's going to open an emergency waypoint and allow your reinforcements to port in and hopefully wipe them off the face of the map. So only pertinent information. You're not going to put out a map chat that one person is there. If one person's hanging around, if a thief is hanging around and keeps tapping your thing. So a big role for thieves is they're going to stay near some of these bigger assets that have a waypoint, and they're going to kill a guard, or they're going to hit the door, or they're going to hit a wall, something, in order to make the game think that the keep is under attack. And as soon as that happens, you cannot use the waypoint. So
good segue.
If somebody is there, and harassing your waypoint is what I call it, then you might want to say, hey, there's this thief hanging around here, and maybe 5-10 people will come and wipe the thief, get him away from there, and to stop tapping the tower. So only pertinent information. And that kind of goes when you're running. You might see somebody running across, and the way I do it is if I see one person from the opposing team when I'm running in a group, I'll let the commander know that we're spotted. That person that spotted us is following us. I'll let the commander know that he's following. He or she's following. So that's it. Short communication. That's the best way to communicate in team chat while you're scouting. I didn't even realize I did that segue.
That was a great segue.
Yeah, well,
when to
because I
tap
wasn't
Garrison
aware.
Bay Hill. Yeah, that's a good segue.
So yeah, so when do you tap Garrison? When do you tap Bay? When do you tap Hills? So if you're looking at a tier 3 Hills or Bay, and this is air keep and fire keep too. I only refer to it as Hills and Bay out of protest. Bay is on the west side of the map in every borderland, or the fire keep in desert borderland, and Hills is on the east side of the map in all the borderlands, and that's air keep on the desert borderland. I always refer to it as Bay and Hills because it's easier. At any rate, you want to hit a wall on Garrison. So what you're going to do, what you might want to do, is have a thief go off stealth and tap Garrison. And the reason why you do that is because that now forces a responding team to have to port back to their borderland to the Citadel waypoint, which is further north, gives you a lot more time to do damage before they get there. Because you're going to put swords on Bay and you're going to put swords on Garrison. So that's 2 waypoints that they can't use. Now, if you're going to go tap Garrison while the commander is waiting for Bay, you're going to watch the map and you're not going to tap Garrison until swords go up on Bay, which is hard to tell sometimes, but it's usually 30 seconds after the initial strike.
Yeah, and just for those who may be wondering what a tap is. A tap is when you attack a door, guards at a door, a wall, anything long enough to place crossed swords on either the waypoint or the actual name of the building. You would see it in the map as 2 crossed swords. And thieves are real popular for that because they usually get in, they attack, and then they stealth out. So you're not really sure where it's coming from until you track down that thief, and it makes it hard for so one player. This is usually a havoc duty. So one player or a small group of players can effectively make travel very difficult for the larger group. And like Gord said, if you're going to attack Bay, then tap Garrison so they can't go through Garrison to get to Bay, et cetera, et cetera. They have to go the long way around, and it gives you time. So a tap is just when you attack some section of any objective. So just in case you didn't know what that was.
Well said. I did explain that 5 minutes earlier.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was still probably a little heated. Sorry.
No, it's okay. All right, so I'm going to pretend that I saved this for dramatic flair, but I actually forgot to go over my most favoriteest technique for open field fighting. And that's
yeah, you passed it up on purpose so that you could come back to it with dramatic flair.
With dramatic flair, but really
saving the best for last.
Really, I went out of order and screwed up, but you guys don't know that. All right, so anyway, the most thrilling battle that I've ever had in WW is open field fighting. And one of the more prevalent techniques that we used when we were open field fighting was called death balling. Now, if you've ever seen a mosh pit, it is equivalent to that. So there's a lot of strategy in death balling. So what death balling is you are going to push in a direction. While you're pushing, you're attempting to have the opposing group establish what I've always called a kill zone. And the kill zone is where the opposing group or yourself is going to dump all of your AoE high DPS damage. So what you want to do is you want to force the enemy into a ball, literally. While you're pushing in, you're kind of feign pushing, it's called, where you'll come in just enough where you want them to shoot the gun early, dump all of their cooldowns, which is their highest damage DPS, where you can back out, come around, and hit them and take them out. So while you're doing that, you're going to try and move them in a direction where they don't have a backwards escape path, and where you're easily getting them to ball up so that you can hit even more people with your AoEs. That's the best way that I can explain that. Does it make sense to you guys?
I have never called it death balling, but it is a popular term apparently. Mm-hmm. And I've never called it death balling.
That's what Jeb calls it.
Yeah, Jed.
Yeah. That's where I picked it up from.
Yeah, Jed with SF. Strike Force.
All right, so that's the high level overview. So there's a lot that's happening to do this. So what you want to do is your front line is going to knowingly dip into their 1200 range. And you're going to do this on purpose. And when I say dip, I mean you're going to move close enough to them where you know you're in their caster's range, but you can easily step back to avoid that AoE damage when they lay their AoE. And you're going to keep trying to force them in one direction where they have no choice but to ball up, and their front line is really fighting to protect the mid and the back line and getting people out of position. And once you get them in that tight ball, that's when you're going to strike. And you can usually tell the high level things. So you might see a meteor shower go off, you might see a lightning field go off, something like that. You might see necro wells go, stuff like that. So once you see that, you can push in, run them over. They have nothing to defend themselves. They can't run back because you cut off their escape, and that's that. So what ends up happening is your backline has to work the hardest because they have to make sure that they are directly behind your front line. Your front line is going to be moving the least amount of distance. So for every meter that the front line moves, the back line is going to have to move probably 3 meters, is a good analogy that I would say, in order to stay behind. You want to give the appearance that you're vulnerable by staying balled up yourself, because they're not going to use their heavy hitting AoEs if you're spread out all over the place. So that's really the biggest, hardest part of deathballing, is while you're pushing them in either a clockwise or counterclockwise direction towards where you want them to be, where you can lay down your killing field, you have to make sure that you're staying tight and being very aware of where their AoE damage skills are being laid out. But it's really cool when it works.
Yeah, I usually get that to happen by not even hesitating, but running straight at it. And the minute I see the red circles, you call for a rotate right, rotate left, and then all of that goes down, and they've spent their wad really quickly, and that's when you attack. It's not the same thing as deathballing, but it's pretty close as to what I think you're trying to say you need to do to create a death ball.
The push is that creating the death ball is getting them in the position where they can't run back, they can't run left or right quickly anymore to get away from you. And once you have them balled up like that, that's when your front line is going to push them. Your midline and your back line is going to spend their cooldowns in order to get that high DPS. But then the front line also has to contain them in that ball, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I get it. I can see it.
It's much easier when you can see it in action.
Yeah, I can see it in my head. I've been through enough fights. I can see it.
All right. So there's that. We'll pretend that was my brilliant plan for dramatic flair, but... All right, and the last thing that I really wanted to cover was, when is supply important? Supply is always important. You want to try and keep your supply that you're carrying as high as you can, but if you're at a point where you're fat on the map, which means you have a lot of the assets, you have most of the towers, and you're only going to attack one more tower, and you know you're going to take a camp after that, you don't need to stop in the tower unless you want to
take supply.
Yeah.
Pet peeve.
So sometimes what I see is people, every time you capture a camp or every time you capture an asset, they are like, are you claiming? You know, and if I'm looking at my squad and I have, 20 people in my squad and I'm sitting at 300 supply, I'm not going to claim a camp. I'm not going to bother. It takes too much time.
Correct. And it's unnecessary if your next stage or next step is going to be a camp. I mean, it makes no sense.
Exactly.
The other pet peeve I have that I'm going to throw in here, because I know supply is important, but since we're on towers, if you're running with me and you intend to get all of the nodes in a tower, you will be left behind. Because there's a time for gathering and there's a time not to gather. And if I'm moving quick, now's not gathering time.
Yeah, you shouldn't gather unless your commander says go ahead and gather.
Correct.
So. And
I understand, but this World v World is World v World, not PvE. If you want to gather, there's plenty of places that have PvE places you can gather. I don't mean to sound mean. I don't mean to sound rude, but it's very frustrating when you're trying to smartly prepare for the next objective that you're going to, and you don't have your people.
Yeah.
So to me, just because of the way I have done World v World forever, and I'm not the same commander as everybody else.
Yeah.
The way I've done it is I move quick because I know that our squad is pretty small, or I may not be leading. I don't lead map blobs. I don't do that. I don't have the patience for it for some people, so I don't do it. I used to do it. It stopped being fun when people started being retarded.
All right,
that's probably a bad word to use.
Be nice.
But
we get it.
I stopped doing it. But anyway, don't gather if your commander doesn't say, okay, go ahead and gather.
Yeah, you should be right on the pin. Where the pin goes is where you go. So I think that's it. Everything on my list.
That looks good to me.
Kora, do you have any questions to close it out?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
You were supposed to be listening.
I was listening. I actually don't. And I'm not sure if that's because you guys explained it so well or if it just all went over my head. So
maybe a little bit of both.
I think there's a lot of both.
Huh?
Yeah, Gord does this much better than I do. He does the explanations way better than I do because I get too emotional.
You know, when you run with me, it might seem like I'm very aggressive as a commander, and that's again going back to my shock and awe. But you might think I don't have a plan, but I constantly do have a plan. It's not always easy to see. The more you run with somebody, the more you can kind of anticipate what they're doing. But yeah, that's it. This is the more advanced stuff. This is maybe not advanced technically, but more advanced in WW when you are actually pushing for your server to win and not just running around looking for fights. In my opinion.
Right. Do remember, this is for adding points to your war score. This is not for learning how to open field fight, although there is that in the mix. Overall, it's to generate points for your team.
Yep.
That's what this lesson was about. If we can be brash enough to call it a lesson.
A lesson. A lesson from the WW gurus in our dreams.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's gonna do it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to write the show, and we'll try and fill in anything we might have missed. But I think that's a good intermediate lesson on WW and what you should be doing on the Borderlands. Something to keep in mind: Eternal Battlegrounds is a completely different animal. Some of these techniques or things that I've gone over might be used in EBG, but EBG is a different animal, and not everybody can pin on EBG. There's
very trying.
Strategy. Yeah, it is very trying. So this is mainly for the Borderlands because I don't command on EBG. I don't think I'm good enough to command on EBG. So
takes a special kind of commander to do EBG.
It does. All right, so if that is that, and there's no other questions, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back. So I hope you guys enjoyed our little WW thingy, intermediate lessons, or whatever you want to call it, or at least just how two guys who've been WWing for 4 years do it. And like I said, if you have any questions, email the show and ask us about it. So we're going to jump into the closing because something's going on that Kora couldn't wait to get to. So Gallios.
Couldn't wait to get to. It's not like I've been like, oh, are we at the end? Can we end the show? Let's end the show now. Can't wait to get
Listen,
to.
if there's one thing that you got to learn, I'm from the Northeast, and it's so miserable living in the Northeast that people like develop a sense of humor where you bust balls is what we call it. So that's all I'm doing. Busting balls. All right, Gallios, what do you got for us?
All right, so we got a couple of shout outs this week. We actually did get 2 reviews, and both of them were 5-star reviews, which we're very appreciative of. And the first one is from Zyrule, who, welcome to our guild, Zyrule, who joined a couple of weeks ago. Old player coming back. Another great MOG podcast. These guys give a great mix of all aspects of the game. If you are getting into or back into Guild Wars 2 as I am, this is a great listen. Very entertaining and informative while not getting too specialized. Thank you, Zyrule, very much for that. The next one is another 5-star review from Sweet Intoxication that says, very entertaining. While I'm not new to Guild Wars 2, I am new to this podcast. Very much enjoyed the first episode I listened to, episode 29. The best parts being as they delved into their wish lists and all the discussion about lore. Such passion and appreciation of Guild Wars. Please keep it going. Only critique would be less interrupting of others, specifically when there is that awkward pause when host tries to talk over the other. Specifically when Gord talks over Kora. Loved when they played well together, but would like even more attention given to all speakers, not just Gord. Otherwise loved it. Plan to listen much more, and please keep up the content. thank you very much, Sweet Intoxication, for that wonderful 5-star review and making Kora's month.
I mean, those were just such lovely reviews. I really felt them deep in my heart, didn't you, guys? I mean,
I did.
they warmed the cockles of your heart.
I just have one critique. No, I'm playing. Sometimes, and I think we talked about this before, but sometimes Kora and I are on the opposite ends of the coin, and we're both equally passionate.
I was going to say it's passion that drives the both of you.
Yeah.
So I apologize. We try not to interrupt each other, but one thing that I do want to point out, because I did kind of reach out to a couple people on our Discord server to say, hey, is this a problem? Because this is actually a second review that we got. But the one thing that we don't have is when we record, we're not looking at each other. So we don't have like those visual cues. So sometimes it's more like you think somebody's done saying something and they're really not. So
yeah,
that's my only say on it. But yeah, I think it's Kora and I are both very passionate, as well as Gallios, but Gallios doesn't like to talk much.
What?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I agree with you, Gord, that it is hard when you don't have that visual cue of, because we use our hands, we use our whole arms when we talk, and so when somebody is talking and their arms are moving and they're still up, you can go, okay, they're taking a breath, they're not done, but without the visual side of it, we're like, oh, there's a pause. Oh, well, I've already started talking, so I'm just gonna keep going because at this point I'm just gonna finish my thought. Okay.
And at this point is where Romo would bump in and say, this is why you have to do a live show.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for the reviews, guys. That was really awesome. And we like the feedback even when, you pick on me. or when you pick on Kora.
I mean, the funny thing is we all do really get along. So even when we are on those opposite sides, like when it
and
seems
I'm sure
like I've
there's
been
a million
really
things people hate about me, but they don't want to hurt my feelings because I'm such a nice guy.
You're just a giant teddy bear, and then me and Gord are the salt. What is it? Kettle corn. Sweet and
there you
salty.
go, salty and sweet.
There you go.
I love it.
I'm overly salty, and Kora is overly sweet.
So we're some weird jacked up kettle corn.
and I'm the corn in the middle. That's kind of gross.
All right, Gallios, you got anything else?
I think I need to call it. I'm done.
I think we're all ready for bed.
Kora, any shout outs?
I'm gonna Daily Quaggin. I'm gonna give my shout out to the Daily Quaggin. I hadn't been posting lore, and I came back and posted. Oh God, was it Norn? I was posting about Norn, and Daily Quaggin was like, "Do Quaggin lore." So I did. Yeah, I got all the stuff ready, and then I did a day, and then things got crazy with snow and whatnot, and Quaggin was like, "More Quaggin lore." So I've been posting more Quaggin lore, and they've been sending me visual aids, which I've used a few in some of my tweets. They reminded me, informed me, Quaggin calves are not just called calves or, oh God, what's the other? I can't even think right now. They're also called tadpoles, which was not on the wiki. So I've updated the wiki to include that, and there are several places where you can find Quaggin talking about tadpoles, or you can see that baby Quaggin are labeled tadpoles in one spot. So yeah, so I've added that to the wiki. So thank you, Daily Quaggin, for giving me my current topic that I am tweeting about.
Yay! I like Daily Quaggin.
I like Daily Quaggin too.
I'm not a big fan of Quaggins, but
this Quaggin I want to hug.
He's cool.
Yeah. Or she. Is it a he or she?
I don't know.
They. Maybe it's a they.
They are cool. I think it's a he. I think it's Sylvan the White on Twitter. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. But either way, he or she does a great job.
Quaggin is good.
All right, so I have several shout outs.
Oof.
My first shout out This is Sylvia. I'm very sorry that you were half wrong, but I am happy that you were half right. And Romo is in there, but I didn't want to say his damn name because I've shouted out to him too many times. Other shout outs. I did have another one. The other shout out is to Kitten Theory on Twitter. GG on getting your DPS meter legalized. Very happy. And everybody else that's on Twitter, in Discord with us, and the guildies for just making everything fun.
We do have fun, don't we?
We do. And even more shout outs to Guild Mag and host of Ascalon and Kitten the Travelers and everybody else that has been shouting out the show, and I really want the community to kind of support each other, and that's going back to our friend Jessie. And I listened to her show, Passion Casual, her and JT and Sriracha. Or Sakari, sorry.
Sakari.
Every time.
Sriracha.
It reminds me of Sriracha, but Sakari. Because, the SWOTOR community is, especially with podcasts, there's probably 5 or 6 different podcasts, and they all really support each other. And it's really cool, and there's no reason why we shouldn't, and Talking Script, I forgot to include in there and stuff. So check out all these podcasts, man. There's a lot of good stuff going on. So check it out. Variety is good.
Variety is very good.
All right. So, Gallios, if the good people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
At Gallios_Guild Wars 2 on my Twitter. If you want to follow me, look me up. You can also reach me in-game at gallios.8142. Oh, I did do the shout-out, because somebody did reach out to me on in-game, and Shiara Galpaw, which I do believe I did a shout-out last week, but just in case. I can also be reached on our Discord, our Shadow of the Podcast, our Shadow of the Dragon podcast Discord at Gallios #3334.
Perfect. Kora, where can the good people get in touch with you?
They can find me on Twitter at Guild Lores. I'm also on Instagram at Guild Lores and Tumblr. Basic Discord. Basically, if you go somewhere and you search for Guild Lores, you will find me.
Yay!
Because you are unique and you are special.
I am special, and I am the first one to come up with Guild Lores and realize, oh my god, the fun! It's so great.
Perfect.
All right, so if you want to get in touch with the show, you can reach us at sotdpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at sotdpodcast. SOTD_podcast, and you can check out our website at sotdpodcast.com. If you like what we do, you can check out our Patreon, and the links are on the website. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me on Twitter at Gord the Norn. You can join our Discord and talk with me at Gord #4133, and you can reach me in game at Gord.8654. And that's everything. Take
Excellent.
2. All right, so that wraps up another show. Thanks for listening. And, if you have any questions, reach out to us.
Leave
And
more
for all of you
reviews.
Wait,
leave more
say
reviews.
again?
Leave more reviews. If you like the show, leave a review.
Leave a review, good or bad. We will read it on the air.
What you feel we deserve, exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a 5-star. If you think we're only worth 3 stars, give us that too.
And for all of you listening out there, we wish you health and prosperity.
Absolutely.
And we hope you have a wonderful day.
Yes, and brace yourself, because we're going to be talking about Living Story episode 4.
Yes.
Next show.
Yeah, make sure you play through that chapter, or don't listen to the next episode until you do if you don't want spoils.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for the show. Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night,
everyone.
Good night, guys. And get your DPS. God bless you.
I sneezed. I tried to hold it in. I was like, I'm not going to make it to the mute. that's really cool that is people finally got their authorization to do that. As far as Doom being back in the game banning, I would love that because he's one of the old gods. It's not gonna happen. However, they could have like
Somebody has
Shining
hold on
Blade
one
or
second.
Seraph like appear out of nowhere and like come to arrest a character and just drag them off. I'd be fine with that.
Hold on, Gallios, your mic is picking up Kora's voice. Are you playing it through the speakers?
Nope, headset, but I have my headset turned up a little bit, so let me lower it.
Okay. Sorry about that.
All right.
Technical difficulties.
that better?
Okay. So take that from the top, Kora.
What was I saying?
I don't know.